Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of It's Crystal Clear, a show that's designed to tell your money where to go instead of always wondering where it went. My name is Felicia Young, and thank you for spending some time with me today. And thank you for allowing me to help you along your journey towards financial freedom. So remember, we are now working towards our 12-month challenge. What are you hoping to accomplish? What do you want to do by the end of this year? If you need to go back to old episodes to help you to refocus and to get some inspiration, go back to some old episodes and get started writing and planning. I know that you all can do it, and we're going to do this together. You got some goals that you need to hit, and you do not have the time to let time just keep slipping by. So I want each of you to make time to tell your money where to go so that you can fund all of those dreams and all of those visions that you have. This week's episode is called It's in Your Best Interest, specifically how the cost to be able to use loans can affect you depending on how you pay your monthly notes. So a few weeks ago, I had the privilege to teach a finance class. We were discussing setting goals and where they would get their money to fund those goals. So I had each person to stand up. I had each one of them to read their list of the goals that they set to achieve for themselves. And they had some amazing things that they wanted to do. They had some people who wanted to go back to college to earn a degree that would help get them promoted at work. We had people who wanted to start their own business and to generate enough money so they can quit their current jobs. They had people who simply wanted to travel the world and to eat foods from different countries. They had people who just wanted to retire without the fear of having to go back to work lingering over them because they do not have enough money saved now or invested to live off of. But the one that stuck out the most to me, that this lesson is going to be centered around, was from a young lady. She was in her 20s, and she stood up and she read her list with confidence. She was going to purchase her first home. She was going to buy a new car. She wanted to start a business. She wanted to get married, and she wanted to have kids, in that order. Okay, cool. So I asked her if her current financial situation would allow for her to be able to afford that list. So she asked me, what did I mean by that? I asked her if she had enough money coming in to afford these new notes and provide her the capital she needed to start her business. I asked her if her credit scores were high enough to qualify for loans for a mortgage or for a car note. I asked if her debt-to-income ratio was within the range to where the bank would readily say yes to her adding additional debt, especially after she added a family to that equation. She said her income was fine. She said her credit score was fine. It was a 610, but that debt to income ratio was a whole nother story. She had loans. She had payday loans. She had personal loans from her bank. She had credit cards that weren't maxed out just yet. She had maybe one or two swipes left, and she would be tapped out. Her total credit card debt was $17,867. Her total loan debt was close to $35,000. She said she made sure she paid the minimum amount every single month so her credit score would not fall. And she had a few $1,000s that she has in her savings account. So after she shared her financial layout, I had some more questions for her. So I asked her, how long did she think it would realistically take for her to pay off that payday loan, for her to pay off that personal loan, and for her to pay off all of those credit cards? And she said that she was in no rush to pay off any of those bills because the monthly notes were low enough and they were manageable enough to where she didn't have to worry about it. She was going to buy her a new car within 6 months, and she wanted to buy her a house after a few months later. She was working on getting her business started now, but she needed to apply for a business loan to be able to buy her products. So while she was talking, and she was talking with confidence, I had red flags just popping in my head like ping, 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 ping. And so I asked if I could use her life that day to show her and to show the class how it would be in their best interest to pay off that debt as fast as possible. So she said at the beginning she was in no rush to pay off those loans because the monthly payments were low and they were manageable. That phrase right there is where today's lesson is going to focus on. And I promise you, by the end of the lesson, your life will be blessed. So sometimes you may not pay attention to the interest rates when it comes to making purchases on credit cards or whenever you go and apply for loans. Simply because with a loan, you really need that money to help you get out of whatever situation you're going through at that time. And with the credit cards, you want what you want right now, and having the access and having the satisfaction of knowing that you can pay that back later, you don't really worry about the interest payments. But the reality is that instant gratification of buy now and pay later, it will cost you so much more over the time because of interest payments. So first of all, what exactly is interest? In simple terms, it's the cost to borrow money. If someone loans you a certain amount of money over an agreed upon period of time, you're going to pay them back that amount plus extra money on top of that for having access to use their money to buy something for you. And interest payments, y'all, that's big business. It must be. Otherwise, banks, credit card companies, mortgage companies, card companies, any place that charge interest, they wouldn't be charging it if they weren't making millions, maybe even billions. But your job is to make sure that they don't make millions off of you. That's your job. So the young lady said she was in no rush to pay off those loans because the monthly payments were low and the monthly payments were manageable. My question again was, but at what cost? She had credit card debt that was almost $18,000. Her interest rate is 12%. And let's say it took her 10 years to pay it off, making the minimum payments. At the end of 10 years, y'all, she would have paid $30,000. And of that, $13,000 was strictly interest payments. She's giving those companies $13,000 that she could be using to invest in her business, getting her products, or she can be using that as a down payment for her house. And that scenario is only true if she doesn't charge nothing else on those credit cards for the next 10 years. Now we're going to be honest. What's the reality of her not swiping those cards no more for 10 years? It's not highly likely. So that means her minimum payments is funding someone else's house and is funding someone else's cars, not her own. So her total loan debt is $37,000. So what if that takes 15 years for her to pay off and say that everything is at 10% interest? Y'all, that's almost $72,000 that she would have paid other people. That's $34,000 in interest payments alone, just from making the minimum payments and not charging nothing else for 15 years. Y'all, that's a lot of money. So I asked her, for the purchase that she made, does it make sense to continue to make the minimum payments? Because the payments are manageable and the payments are low. She emphatically said yes. So I asked her to tell us what were some of the things that she purchased on her credit cards that contributed to that $17,000 that's now owed. So she took out her phone and she looked on her app and she started reading a few of the items that she purchased, and she let us know what the amounts were. So she recently had a class reunion that she attended, and she wanted a new outfit and she wanted to look amazing. The jumpsuit she wore, $189. The shoes were $80. She got a manicure and pedicure, $135 including the tip. Her hair appointment, $375. So for one night with only those items, she spent almost $780. And she put it all on her credit card. So based off her saying the minimum payment is manageable, it is. It's about $10.50 a month. Okay, but if she pays the minimum for 10 years at 10% interest, that one night will cost her $1,236 with $450 in interest payments. Now let's just take a moment to think about it. Does it really make sense to pay an additional $450 in interest payment for an outfit, shoes, nails, and hair? We all know that it doesn't. And when she saw that breakdown, she immediately knew that that did not make sense. And her focusing on small minimum payments was not going to help her reach her goals. So she wanted to know how to get out of that cycle right now. So what I shared with her in the class is what I will share with you all today. So how do you pay off your credit card and how do you pay off your loan debts so that it is in your best interest? Number one, you're going to use the snowball method that we talked about earlier this year to help you. I need you all to make time to list all of your loan payments in order from the smallest remaining balance to the largest, no matter what the interest rate is. What we're doing is focusing on getting small wins. Every little bit helps. You're going to continue to make minimum payments on all of your loans. Do not get behind on these payments. All these on-time payments will help increase your credit scores over time. Number two, you're going to focus on aggressively paying off that small loan first. Any extra money that you have from reducing and eliminating your latte factor, going through and eliminating things that you don't need that you spend money on, you're going to apply all of that to the smallest loan. So when you make extra payments, I want you to make sure that you apply all of those payments to the principal balance only. And I need you to keep records of all of those payments, just in case those loan companies get amnesia and they apply your payments to the interest. Remember, interest payments go to them to help them get richer. Number three, if you're able to, split your payments into two payments monthly. Each time you get paid from work, make a payment. This also cuts down on the amount that you pay in interest. It is very helpful. So if you can, do it. Number four, once you pay off that first loan, all the money that you use to pay that off, apply it to the principal payment of the next loan. Continue to do this until your loans are all gone. Number five, I need you to put deadlines on when you're expecting to pay off each one of your loans. If you don't know when your target dates are, you'll never hit that target. So when do you plan to have each one of those loans paid off? Write those dates next to each one of those loan amounts. And I want you to become so disciplined and so determined to wipe out that debt as fast as possible. Number six, stop swiping. It'll be counterproductive to use the snowball method to pay off your debt if you keep adding to it. Think about it. If you're in the process of making a snowman, how big will it get if you just keep taking chunks of snow away? That'll be pretty jacked up. It'll be a pretty jacked up looking snowman. And if you keep adding charges and adding charges and adding charges to your credit card while you're putting chunks of money towards the principal payments, you're going to keep having jacked up finances. Right now, you're taking drastic measures to eliminate your debt so you can have that money in the near future to fund the things that you really want, like a home or like a dream vacation. Number seven, I want you to stop and think before you make purchases on your credit card. You can Google loan calculators to show you how much what you're thinking about buying will cost. So if you charge it on your credit card and not pay it off after a month or so, you will see how much it will take. So those shoes that cost $50, but if you only make the minimum payments over 5 to 10 years, at the end of the time, and you see the amount you would pay in interest alone, was it really worth paying that extra money in interest? Number 8, make time to save for what you want. So I do not want you to think I don't want you having fun in life, because every episode I keep saying no, stop, don't, quit. Y'all, I need y'all to understand that is the furthest thing from the truth. I really want you to enjoy everything about life. I want you to be able to buy whatever you want. I want you to go wherever you want. I want you to be able to live your best life within budget. But in order to do that, you have to do what's in your best interest. And that's being mindful about where you're allowing your money to go. So the young lady knew that she was going to the reunion. She'd been knowing that for about 6 or 7 months. She knew that she wanted to look amazing. That was premeditated. And she had an idea about how much everything would cost. So, in my mind, what she should have done was divide that amount of money up 6 and 7 months ago. Every time she got paid, just put small amount into her interest bearing account. And that was to be able to earn herself some money while she waited for the time to make the purchases and go to the appointments. If she was smart, she would have put her money into interest bearing accounts. So instead of paying hundreds of dollars in interest over the next few years, she could have been making some money for herself. And she would have been still looking amazing, and she would not have a bill staring at her in the face 30 days later. Number 9, by taking these steps to reduce and eliminate loans and credit card debt, that's putting her and you in a better position to make future purchases that's more important, like purchasing a home. The lady in the class, she has $30,000 in loan debt. Can you imagine what kind of home she could purchase if she had access to that $30,000? Can you imagine how she could use part of that $30,000 to furnish her home, what she can use to decorate her home in order to turn it into a better home? Can you imagine what she can do with that money? Or she can use a chunk of that money to put towards the down payment on that home so she can have a lower note over the lifetime of that loan. Number 10, she wants to start her business. Can you imagine what she could do with her business if she had $30,000 to invest in herself? Can y'all imagine what she can do to generate profits to fund her future? Number 11, she said she was in no rush to pay off those loans because the monthly payments were low and they were manageable. Can you imagine what kind of position she would be in financially if she did rush to pay off those loans and to free up all that cash flow to live another life? Number 12, can you imagine what financial position you would be in if you put a rush to pay off all the loans and credit cards that you have? I think it would be in your best interest if you made time to just think about that for just a few minutes. I want you to make time to figure out what is in your best interest. It is in your best interest to start managing your money so you can stop stressing over bills. It is in your best interest to start making informed decisions about what you will use your money to fund. Y'all, it is in your best interest to have money available to shield you from uncertainties of life. Life be lifing. You should have money to pay for it. It is in your best interest to set financial expectations to help keep you on course towards where you're going in your future. It is in your best interest to invest your money in areas that earn you interest. Quit making other people money. It is in your best interest to want the best life that you were created to have. You cannot do that if you're drowning in debt. You cannot do that if you're living paycheck to paycheck. You cannot do that if you're paying other people thousands of dollars of your money simply because the monthly notes are low and that they are manageable. It is in your best interest to know that your life is more valuable than that. Y'all, it's in your best interest to keep watching the It's Crystal Clear podcast and apply what I'm teaching to your life. So, we're at the end of this week's episode, and I hope that what you've heard made an impact in you to help you to become rich. That is my prayer for you. I want you to share this episode with those who you feel would benefit from what was said. It's Crystal Clear Podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. And it's on Apple. As always, I want to thank my behind-the-scenes team for bringing me to you each and every week. And I want to thank each of you for always taking time to simply watch and apply these lessons to your life. Until next time, I want you to dream big. I want you to stay focused. And I want you to live your best life within budget. I'll see you next time on It's Crystal Clear.